Hello friends! In this lecture we will understand a very important concept in CSS, which is CSS positioning. As you can see here in this page, we have a heading, we have a paragraph which is full of I like cheese, I like cheese, I like cheese. I am obsessed about cheese. Okay, then we have an image of field. Now, here you can see the markup. Here is a div with an ID of container. So everything is inside this container div, and then we have heading h1, then we have paragraph, and then the image. And here in the style, what we have mentioned already is this image, because it was pretty big. Let's take a look of how it looks without this width property. See, it's really big, it's huge. So let's uncomment it. Let's save it, come here, hit refresh. So here is our markup. And now we will understand CSS positioning. Now there are four types of positioning. The first one that I will tell you is static. All the HTML elements have default position value of static. See this heading 1, then we have this paragraph, then this image. It is the normal flow of this document, and all of these are static. If you don't mention position of an element explicitly, it will be static by default. And another thing is that all the elements with position other than static will accept top, left, right, bottom, these values. Let me show you one thing. So say for example we want to move this heading 1 50 pixel from the left. So let's try. Here is our h1. Now let's write here left 50 pixel. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to move it 50 pixel from the left. Now let's come here, hit refresh. See, nothing got changed because this is by default static and it will not accept properties like left, right, bottom, top. But let's make it position relative. Now save it. Now let's hit refresh. Now you can see that yes, it has moved 50 pixel from the left. So what is position relative means? Its position is relative to its normal position. So what I am trying to say is that previously when this left property was not mentioned, it's here. Now we are uncommenting it and we are providing a left property of 50 pixel. So currently it's positioned here, and now we are moving it 50 pixel from the left from its position. So its position will depend on it. So its position is relative to its normal position. Okay, I think you got it. So let's refresh. Here it is. It's moved 50 pixel from the left. Now let's do one thing. Let's provide a width of this container to 1000 pixel. Save it. Provide a border around it. Border say 3 pixel solid solid hash 333. Save it. Come here, take a look. Here it is. Now another thing. Now you will learn a centering technique. How? How you can center it horizontally. Come here, provide here margin 0 auto. Let's save it. Come here, hit refresh. You can't see here because the width of this current window is less than 1000 pixel. So let's maximize it. Here it is. Currently the width is 1000 pixel and it's centered horizontally. using this trick, margin 0 auto. So what I am providing here is margin 0 for top and bottom and auto for right and left. So when you are providing this, you are centering a div within its parent. So that's it. So this is the centering technique. So I was telling about relative positioning. So currently this h1 is positioned relative and it's moved 50 pixel from the left. Now let's make the position absolute. Save it, come here, hit refresh. First of all, this P has moved at the top and then we have this image. So what has happened? When you are mentioning the position of an element absolute, it is being removed from the normal flow of the document. And now it is positioned absolute relative to the page. But actually it's positioned relative to its parent. Let's take a look. Let's maximize this. See, it's now outside of this container. It's positioned here. So, if you open our text editor, here it is, its position is absolute and left 50 pixel. So, here it is positioned. But now let's add position relative to our container and let's see what happens. Let's refresh. Now it's inside this box or inside this container. Now why this is happening? Now actually when you are mentioning an element's position absolute, its position will depend on its parent. Yes, its position is relative to its parent whose position is not static. So previously our container was static by default because we didn't mention any position property. Hence its parent, which was not static, was the page itself, and hence it was positioned relative to the page instead of this container. But after we have mentioned this container position relative, then the position of its parent, which is not static, is now this container itself, and hence its position is relative to container now. So again I am repeating, friend, when you have an element static, it will maintain the normal flow of the document. It will not accept top, left, right, bottom properties. Then we have seen relative property whose position is relative to itself. I mean, its position is relative to its normal position. And then we have seen absolute positioning, whose position will depend on the position of its parent, which is not static. Now we will see another position type, that is fixed. It's the final one. So now let's make it fixed. Now what does this position fixed means? When you are mentioning position of an element fixed, it means this position will remain fixed and its position is relative to the browser window. Yes friend, not the page but the browser window. Let's maximize it. Now let's hit refresh. Here it is. We have mentioned here position fixed left 50 pixel. So it will be positioned here no matter if you scroll or something else. Let's increase the height of this container and take a look. So let's provide a height property of say 1000 pixel. Let's save it. Come here, hit refresh. Now let's maximize it. Here we have heading 1 and here we have other contents. Now let's start scrolling. You see this heading 1 is remain fixed, so its position is relative to the browser itself. So what's the difference between this one and position absolute? When you are mentioning an element absolute, its position is relative to its parent, which is not static. And for fixed, so its position is relative to the browser window. So again friend, I am repeating, yes, I am repeating more than one, just to make your concept clear of this CSS positioning, because I know this is really important for you. So again I am repeating, we have four types of position. The first one is static, which is default for all elements, and it will not accept top, left, right, bottom properties. Then we have relative positioning, whose position is relative to its normal position. Then we have seen absolute positioning, whose position is relative to its parent's position, which is not static. And then we have seen fixed positioning, whose position is relative to the browser window. That's it friends for CSS positioning. I recommend you have this file, start playing with it and become master in CSS positioning, because this is the main concept of CSS positioning. So you have this file, start playing with it and become master in CSS positioning. This is really important friend. If you have any query regarding this, feel free to ask. And I want you to clear this concept. So for this, if you have any question, feel free to ask and start playing with it friend, because practice makes a man perfect. So that's it friends. See you in the next lecture. Till then, have fun. Take care.